welcome back to my channel. I am Bekah Jo, aka the Makeup Tax Lady. Today we are getting ready together. I have briefly started my routine. I sprayed a little bit of my Kingdom Come Home Juiced Apple Pectin Face Mist over my face and then added my Blue Tansy Foundation Primer from Kingdom Come Home. So let's get into it. I am feeling a lighter coverage today, so I'm going to take my Clover Skin Is In Balm. I have raved about this product. It is a very light, arguably sheer coverage, but it blurs ever so subtly and just looks fantastic on the skin. Feels lightweight, feels moisturizing, wears well. I most certainly plan to pick up one of these once this one runs out. I have other foundations that I love as well. This one just keeps winning lately. It lasts well throughout the day too. I set it, well, I prime underneath it with my Kingdom Come Home primer, and then I set it with my Sydney Grace Cloud 9 setting powder, and it's the bee's knees. While that continues to dry down, I'm going to use my Tower 28 concealer. I'm going to use this under my eyes and then where I have some spots that I want to have a little extra coverage. I had the pimple right here between my eyebrows show up yesterday, and last night sleeping, it was so tender. Like, I bumped it in the middle of the night a couple times and it hurt so bad. I don't even think it's gonna be like a super deep acne. It's just very painful. Hopefully it's just the one day. I'm doing treatments and stuff to hopefully get it down and then gone as quick as possible. Just encouraging the concealer to dry a little bit. And I have a fan, but I can't be bothered to pull that out. So I'm just using a Sydney Grace brush to blend in my concealer. What concealers are you guys loving lately? I am really enjoying this Tower 28 concealer. I enjoy a more serum-y concealer as I do with my foundation. And this one has been very pleasant to use and get to know. If you know anything about my makeup preferences, I don't typically shop at Ulta and Sephora. Never say never, but that is not typically where I get my makeup. I'm sure that I got that Tower 28 through Sephora. I've also decided that I am a big fan of the mascara, so it's possible I'll just be buying directly from Tower 28's website next time I want to pick up that mascara. And if I time it right, maybe I can do mascara and concealer at the same time. It has been a minute since I've used my Mama Max Cocoa Contour Stick, so I want to use this today. I do still like the product, I just haven't reached for it. I don't know if I've reached for it since my Christian Beauty Co. Tallow Contour Stick. They both sit right here and they're like the same component, just different stickers. And I do reach for this one all the time. I also have been really enjoying my Sydney Grace Cream Bronzer, especially in these warmer months. That Cocoa Contour Stick smells so good. It smells lightly of chocolate, but not like a sweet chocolate, and not even like a bitter chocolate, like just cocoa, which is, it has very few ingredients in it, and cocoa is one of them. Oh, this is also tallow based. I forgot that. Tallow, shea butter, beeswax, cocoa powder, vitamin E, and then they say naturally occurring iron oxide. So a pretty short ingredient list, which I enjoy. I cannot get enough of my Adele cream blush. This is the shade Pink Melon. This is just such a pretty shade, and especially for summertime. It's a great Bekah Jo. I wouldn't even just like say it's a summer shade though, because I have enjoyed this all year round so far. Picked it up at some point, I think, in 2025, but especially as a summer shade. It's just so fitting. I did pick up some more cream blushes recently, so I'm hoping to do a video just on those, just to kind of show you what I've added to my collection. I don't have any of them in my hands just yet, but I think that'd be a fun video. Let me know. Okay, these eyebrows are going to be tended to, but first I'm gonna set with my Sydney Grace Cloud 9 translucent setting powder. The one that I have is an older variety. So it's in the shade Fair, but they have done away with the different shades and now they just have one. So it's truly translucent. Let's do the brows before they drive me up a wall. I have here the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil in Taupe. So I'm gonna run this through my brows. I have been back on my brow pencil kick. I was on pencil kick and then powder kick, and now I'm back to the pencil. But it's fun having options, and I don't need too many options because I'm not substantially changing up the way that I do my brows on a day-to-day. So just between the pencil and then the powders, I have a Sydney Grace brow palette that I love. But those are the two that I usually go between. And then this is Sydney Grace Clear Stronghold brow setting gel. What do they call it? Okay, while we're here, I'm gonna add About Face eyeshadow primer, and then I'll blend that out with a brush. So today I am running a few errands, and then I'm spending the evening with a friend of mine. So I don't need anything fancy or exciting, but I had the opportunity to film a little get ready with me. Okay, I'm taking that same brush that I used to set my face with no additional product, just tapping over my lids. Okay, before we get to eyes, I'm gonna take my Sydney Grace Luminous Light palette and the powder bronzer in here, Starlight. And I've been liking starting the powder bronzer like at my temples, and then a little bit onto my cheeks, and then up into my hairline on my forehead. Just been my preferred bronzer method lately. Using light touches because we did set everything, but not like super heavy. And I don't find that the bronzer moves things around. That's just, I'm gentle anyway. Okay, I will come back to powder blush. In the meantime, let's do eyes. I kind of winging it here, but I know that I want to dip into some of my Sydney Grace singles. I think this palette just came from Amazon, the Empty Magnetic palette. But here are some of the singles that I want to work with today. I believe these have come from previous bundles or mystery bags of sorts. So it's kind of an assortment in here. I'm wearing this little gray tank top today, so I don't want a lot of dark or heavy on my lids. But I think that this shade right here, it's kind of a purpley gray shade, will be a good start. This is the shade City Life. And then I'll probably pull in the lighter taupey pink shade down here, Sitting on the Dock. That's a real pretty matte shade. And then maybe dip into a couple more of the mattes in here, possibly the shimmers, but I also want to show a little love to my trashed palette. This is from Sugar Drizzle, and this is not a new palette. This came out several years ago. This is one of the first palettes I picked up that had true multi-chromes in it. We definitely have some more like black-based multi-chromes. I don't think that one is. But I'm interested in dipping into maybe some of these like taupes or like this super pretty multi-chromatic shade here. So somewhere in there between the Sydney Grace singles and the Sugar Drizzle palette is where our eye look is planning to come from today. Starting with this Give Me Glow fluffy brush into City Life, which is that first gray matte. I'm just gonna run this all over my lid, kind of work it up into my crease. That is lighter than I expected, which is totally fine with me. Like I said, I didn't want any dark, deep and dark shadows on my eyes today. Okay, same concept with my Refer 01. I want to dip into this shade, which is called Sitting on the Dock, and we're just going to run this also basically over everywhere we just used that previous shade. Combination is deepening things up just a little bit. Honestly, I'd be more than happy to pick up one of these shimmery shades and add it all over the lid. But I know that I've been intending to use this Sugar Drizzle palette and I have not touched it. So I'm going to dip into Rascal Tail. The formula still feels nice. And it's just a pretty metallic, I think there's some sparkle in there, taupey shade. I'm going to focus this on the center of my lid. Yeah, it's taupey. It's almost got like a purpley undertone to it. It's a pretty shade. I like that. That's just a nice, simple, subtle, but it's got just a little bit of glitz to it. Nothing too crazy. Going back into that Give Me Glow fluffy brush. Just blending around the edges. Now I do want to give it a little bit of zazz. With this Moda, they call this a smoky eye brush. I'm going to dip into Junk Food Junkie, which is probably my favorite shade in this whole Trashed palette. We're just gonna put just a splash of this on the inner corner of the upper lid. It's got some sparkle and a little color. This would be an easy way to zazz up an everyday eye look, which is effectively what I'm doing, yes. But if you're looking for ways to add just a little bit of glitz without being like a super dark eye look, super dramatic, super colorful, this is a really fun and easy way, in my opinion, to add just a little bit of something to the look without letting it take over and overwhelming your face or your features or those sorts of things. Speaking of adding a little bit more, I'm gonna take this single back into the Sydney Grace palette. This is the shade Backpacking, and this is a warmer shade. I think this will also add, without being a whole like change to the look, this will be a nice way to add just a splash more dimension. So using my Refer 02, I'm just gonna smoke this out on the outer portion of my upper lash line. It's not necessarily even gonna be something that anyone notices. It's just going to provide a little bit more contrast in my look. Just one of those things that like I notice and you notice because you're watching the video, and maybe something that like would catch somebody's eye that I'm speaking to. Let me go add a little bit of mascara. I'm gonna use my Christian Beauty Co mascara and I'll be right back. Welcome back. I have the mascara on. Any mascara flecks that you see on my lids are to be ignored because that's how we do mascara around here. I'm still getting to know this mascara. Overall, I like it. It is a natural mascara. I don't know that it adds a whole lot of length to my lashes, but it adds some depth and a little bit of drama. So I like my mascara to be quite dramatic when possible without irritating my eyes. So I haven't had any eye irritation with that one so far, so that's really good too. Let's do a little powder blush. I'm gonna dip into, you can ignore these. These are my Sydney Grace single eyeshadows that are rough, that are falling apart. They have their own little compartment. Anyway, this blush up here, which is Peach Puff. And then I'll probably also use this highlighter Taffy Twist. These came in a bundle of sorts. I might have a video using these. If I do, I'll link them in the cards. But yeah, I want to use these to add a little bit more color to my cheeks using my Refer 04. I also think that the warmer cheek with the cooler eye, it's not like extreme difference in warmth and cool or in depth, but I think that that's another fun way to add a little contrast. And this time of year, especially warmer months, I enjoy warmer blushes. I do not necessarily enjoy them the same all year round. Before I do my highlighter, I'm gonna reach into my Kingdom Come Home botanical color correcting powder and using my big Sydney Grace fluffy face brush, I'm dipping into the powder and then just kind of priming the brush. And just gonna focus this on the center of my face, blending it into where I put the powder blush, and then in the center of my forehead too. This doesn't necessarily give coverage, but it gives a like smoothness to the skin that almost makes it look like it's more coverage. Like it just kind of blurs things together very nicely. Okay, actually before highlighter, I'm gonna set very lightly with my Kingdom Come Home Face Mist. And with my Sydney Grace brush, I'm gonna dip into our highlighter. If you have never used Sydney Grace's cheek highlighters before, they are pigmented, and this pan would last me probably 3 lifetimes. There's so much product in there, and they're such a good deal. I have several of them, and they're very pretty. They're a nice, soft, I mean, you can build them up to be more intense, but they're a softer, metallic. I don't know that they have sparkles per se, but they just add a nice little sheen. They're also not like a blinding metallic kind of highlighter, if you use them with like a softer, fluffier brush for sure. Okay, we've got the eyes and the cheeks, so I want to go a little bit more subtle on the lips. For that today, I'm going to use my Ensley Rain lip gloss. I think this is, Inner Glow. I thought this was It Girl. Maybe it was called It Girl. It's basically a sheer gloss, even though it looks kind of red. No lip liner or anything, just some gloss. And here we are. Here is today's final look. Like I said, this is a running around kind of day, but I wanted to play with my makeup. Obviously, I could have gone more bold and dramatic, but I didn't want to. Today, I wanted to keep things simple yet still pretty, and I totally feel like that's where I landed. So I hope that you enjoyed joining me for today's Get Ready With Me video. I just realized I have a tea that I made myself that I have not yet touched. Let me take a sip of that while I get our Bible verse to close us out of today's video. Today, let's read Philippians 4, verses 4 through 7, and I'm reading from the New King James Version. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Thank you once again for joining me for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.